Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, The Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I'm your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. And this is your Breakfast Bankroll / Big 10 preview, I guess I should say. Week 4, September 23rd. 1 week left in this month. And I tell you, fall is coming. We hit the 40s last night, and you keep the windows open and you wake up in the morning and wow, you got that crisp feeling in the house, in the office, outside. 'Tis the season. How's that sound? Been a very, very chaotic and busy week for myself here at ECSI. I haven't done a lot of shows. Full transparency, we are in the process of moving into a new office, new studio, and new retail store locally with MassPass, and we thought this would be the best thing for us. So we've been doing a lot of work over there. Have had some family issues, some day surgery that turned out to be more than a day for my wife. A lot of back and forth, some trips to Boston, and it's life. And anyone in these lanes, if you don't understand, life speeds up, and if you don't keep the feet moving, it's just going to pass you by. So you can sit in your shit, yell, scream, holler, complain, or you can do something about it, and that's what we try to do here on a day-to-day basis, and that's what we will do. So it's been a while. I haven't talked to my buddy here, Southside Riley, which, you know what, my friend? You got 4 more weeks out of the baseball season than I did. That's all I can say at this point. A little too late to pull the Tony La Russa card, but hey, let me stop here. Let's bring him in before we get into the Big 10. The one and only Mr. Riley Magnuson. Morning, sir.
Morning, my friend. Happy Friday. Decent college football slate coming up. I am absolutely juiced. We've had some good luck here, so you're right. I'm happy to see you once again. Won't commiserate too much, as this is a Big 10 show. Won't commiserate too much about my White Sox there. What I will say, I did some research. You're right. Too late to pull the Tony La Russa card, but up until they pulled Tony La Russa up until September 13th, 9-4. On September 13th, they let one Mr. Bryson DeChambeau throw out the first pitch, and ever since then, they're about 4-5, 4-6. So you tell me, Tony DeChambeau, all things considered, without them, they're 9-4 in that little pocket. So I'm going to hold on to that for next year, and hope my where I'm headed with this is more about superficial stuff as opposed to actual baseball stuff. So nonetheless, this is a Big 10 show. I am ready to roll. Illinois last night, 31-zip. Over Chattanooga, gets the win in the cover there. They're 3-1, should be probably 4-0. So we won't see them this weekend, but nice showing from them last night. But nonetheless, I'm ready to rock and roll wherever. We got, I think, 7 games, smaller slate now, maybe 8-9 games. But anyway, smaller slate. A couple teams are playing each other here. So I am ready to roll. I've got some thoughts, but not a ton of plays that I've got so far. Maybe we'll find some here, but I've got a couple that I really like so far here.
Woke up this morning to the chill, like, holy shit, it's here. The first, we've had some hot and humid weather in September. Yep. Yesterday, we got about 2.5 to 3 inches of rain. It was a monsoon, and I was doing a lot of driving yesterday. Woke up this morning to, holy shit, fall is definitely here. I mean, love the sweatshirt weather, love the feel. You talk about a shorter slate as we get ready to dig into this. assess the first 3 weeks. Surprises, teams that we thought were going to be better that are not, and I know Northwestern obviously probably at the top of your card there. What to look forward to moving forward?
No, I mean, I don't think there's anything crazy. I think this is going to be another one. There's a couple games between some Big Ten teams that I think will prove to see if a couple of these teams are for real and maybe pretenders here. But, as far as, obviously a lot of people didn't expect Northwestern. I was at least saying they'd be 3-1 through this non-conference slate, and that's obviously not coming to fruition. And obviously get the Nebraska win there. But team that we're going to see this weekend, Minnesota hasn't really played anybody yet, but they've been really impressive. Purdue 1-2. You could absolutely make the case they should be, if not 2-1, 3-0. They've been a really good connection with Aiden O'Connell to Charlie Jones. I've been loving watching them play. So disappointed from a Big Ten standpoint that they're 1-2, obviously. But like I said, couple games tomorrow. Maryland 3-0, but I think we for the most part kind of expected that. Maybe not against SMU the other this past week, but now you've got that finally the big test of once again. It seems like the annual test of is Maryland for real or not, and maybe we'll find out tomorrow. Maybe we'll get. Maybe we'll have to wait a week or so to get a true gauge of them. I don't know. But, Iowa's offense, their defense has been fantastic, but we've talked ad nauseum for the most part about Iowa's offense. I don't think anyone predicted it was going to be a good offense, but I don't know if anyone predicted that it was going to be as bad as we saw the first couple of weeks. So, these next 2 weeks I think are going to have some huge games in them, and, maybe we'll be believing in a couple teams, and maybe we'll kind of, whether or not you want to say write them off or not, there might be a couple teams that have a couple of losses under their belt that you might not have expected against teams that you would have expected to beat, and maybe you won't be expecting to see them in November too much, competing for any Big Ten title or anything like that. So, big week here, big next couple of weeks, but nothing crazy yet. I think we'll start to have some conclusions after these next couple of weeks here.
Before we head in there, one more question. I mean, there's a team that you didn't mention right back there. You talk about the Maryland at the Big House. You talk about Ohio State facing a Wisconsin team, which back in the day was a must-watch TV. Oh, yeah. And what about Penn State?
Penn State, 3-0. I mean, I told you, I kind of, it's interesting. They're 3-0. Like I said, Purdue should have beat them in that week one game. There were so many breaks that went Penn State's way that first week. I think they're a good team. I really like their defense for the most part. It's just going to be a roller coaster. There's going to be a couple times where Sean Clifford lets you down and throws a couple interceptions, looking like maybe Carson Wentz style of a bad quarterback play there. But no, I think I told you I had them predicted as the next best team in the Big Ten after Ohio State earlier in the season. Maybe I'm tempering my expectations as far as that. Michigan's looked a lot better than I honestly expected. But I like Penn State. They don't have a huge game this weekend. They've got Central Michigan this weekend. But, I think we'll learn about them. I still think by the end of it, I think they'll be a top 25 team. But maybe they'll be the third or fourth best team here in the Big Ten. So I do like Penn State. But, interested to see where they go going forward here against some of the other big games in these conference when they have them here upcoming after this week here.
All right, the stage is yours. Go ahead.
All righty. Let's see. We can start right there, actually. Get that one out of the way. Central Michigan at Penn State. I want to say there's at least 2 or 3 here in the early window. Penn State now minus 28. This one was a little bit lower earlier in the week. I know 26.5 a few days ago. I think after Saturday it was around 24.5. Total 61.5, 62. This morning it was actually at 63. Just dropped back down a point over the last couple of hours, it looks like here, as I've been looking at it here this morning. Team totals 46.5 for Penn State, 16.5 over minus 135 for Central Michigan. As far as Central Michigan, I haven't gotten a close look at them this year. 58 points allowed to Oklahoma State, 38 to South Alabama. They're 1-2, had a cupcake game last time out. With Penn State, this one, I'm not saying a trap game. I think Penn State wins fairly easily in this one, but you got, they had the SEC game last year. They get back into Big Ten play next week with Northwestern. Like I said, I don't want to say a trap game, but I could see them kind of coasting here in the second half a little bit here. So if I'm going anywhere, I might be interested in a little Penn State in the first half. Let's see. I had differing lines, 15.5 in one spot, 17 in another spot. So I think I can see Penn State being up by 3 scores at halftime here. What about you on this one? Any thoughts?
Well, you're talking out loud the schedule. So I think in 2 weeks they go to the Big House. So who do they have next week?
So next week is Northwestern. Let me double check. It's not a bye. Next week is Northwestern. Then they get a bye, and then they go to the Big House. So October 15th, they're in Michigan.
Okay. I have a new source, and
Okay.
I refuse to give him a free plug right now, but
Okay.
we've been monitoring it
Sure.
for the last week. A lot of bells and whistles. It's pretty damn sharp. They put a lot of effort into this. I'm going Chris opening line 26 and a 61 currently right now at Chris. I'm trying to get my eyes together here. Here we go. 60 and a half and 13 with a 28 and a half. So actually 28 there. So my point is you're floating 61 and a half, 62. 28s, and you said their team total was what, 40 what?
46 and a half.
You know, we don't think of Penn State offensively as an Ohio State, as you know, one of those teams. They looked pretty damn good last week at Auburn. Yeah. I think it's a tough spot. Meaning to get to that level, that peak level that they were at. I'm going to be interested. I think they roll, obviously. I just think Vegas is pretty spot on here.
Oh, yeah. I'm 100% with you. I don't really love anything here. I don't know that I'm going anything. I kind of just see that I'm a little nervous of a second half coast in this one. Maybe they're up 31-10 in the second half, and they kind of just let themselves their foot off the gas. That's kind of where I'm at. So, yeah, we just want to get this one out of the way. Wasn't in love with this one, but yeah, I agree with you, and especially 46.5 when you look over and you see Central Michigan give up 58 to Oklahoma State. That could be pretty enticing. But yeah, I'm gonna stay away from it for sure there. So, I think we only got 2 here, like I said, in the early window. The other one is the big noon kickoff, Maryland and Michigan. This one is at Michigan. Last week we were talking about Maryland and SMU. Nice win there for Maryland at SMU. Or excuse me, it was at home against SMU, 34-27. 3-point favorites. And I was telling you, at this point am conditioned to believe that Maryland, when all the eyes are on them and everyone's expecting them to show up and finally make a statement in the Big Ten, they've every time to this point they've fallen on their face. So now this is the chance in the Big Ten stage in the Big House. We haven't seen too much of Michigan against any formidable opponents this year. All due respect to your Huskies last week, but 50 burgers 3 straight weeks for Michigan there. So go ahead. Were you going to say something?
Nope. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. But yeah, Michigan minus 17, 62.5 earlier in the week was the total. I see 64.5, 65.5 in some spots here. Team total for Michigan, 40.5 over minus 120. Maryland, 23.5 over minus 125. I'm torn on this one because I haven't been a firm believer in Maryland this year. I'm not a disbeliever, I guess. Maybe you might call me that after I say this, but they were 3-6 in the Big Ten last year. I think they're a better team this year, but from a physicality standpoint, they're 3-6, like I said, the Big Ten last year. Wins over Illinois, Indiana, and Rutgers. Out of those other 6 games, their closest game was a 17-point loss to Penn State. So they had their ass kicked 6 different times by some of the competent teams in the Big Ten here. I don't know that I'm in love with Michigan here, but I'm a little nervous that Michigan's going to bully them a little bit here in this one. What about you? Any interest in a play here? I am honestly, the 17 seems a little too good to be true because everyone's pouring money on Michigan and it hasn't moved too much here. But nonetheless, I think Michigan rolls easily here and maybe makes Maryland look quite a bit less physical and less athletic than we should be expecting here. I think Michigan bullies them a little bit here.
Well, first and foremost, my Yukon Huskies, I don't even want to say put up a fight. I mean, it's just, I don't know what the hell they're thinking. They traveled to NC State this week, and they're 39-point dogs. I think they were 42 or something last week, whatever they were. I'm glad you brought it up this way because you get teams that you think are better than they actually are, which is like one of these Maryland teams. I like to talk a lot about this in college hoops, where you get a team that's off to a fast start, let's say 7-1, played some
Sure.
decent competition in the preseason tournaments, yada yada yada. They get into conference play and they're nowhere to be found. This always seems to be a Maryland football team. We know they can score.
Sure.
And it's just now they're going to the big house. A couple numbers do intrigue me. If you like the 17, you got to like the team total at 23.5.
Absolutely.
When's the last time this year Michigan has allowed 24 or more? Go back to last year. When did Michigan allow 24 or more?
I don't have it right in front of me, but it wasn't a lot. It was not a lot.
So I don't know if this is Vegas playing the Jedi mind tricks here or what. You could grab the 17. You could grab the 23.5 team total over, and the under over is only 64. Even if you got to 20, you still got a pretty good chance of covering the 17 if Maryland can move the ball. If it's a Michigan, if it's a Maryland 3-and-out, Michigan is going to move the ball. It will. We know that because the Maryland defense sucks.
Yeah.
So again, not to play both sides here, but I think Vegas is pretty spot on again.
I think so, and for me, I'm not. I think I'm gonna be. It's a popcorn game almost. My belief is that kind of what I said. Maryland falls on their face, and when everyone thinks it's time to show up, they fall on their face and they get way out physical. That is what I think is gonna happen. But I don't love a play if I'm being totally honest with you here. So I think we're on the same page for the most part, but. It's tough to say, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can go back to last year. I think Maryland can have some success against some of these other teams in the Big Ten, despite Iowa's defense could. I don't know if they play them honestly off the top of my head, but Maryland's offense against Iowa's offense, despite what Iowa could do defensively, probably can put up enough points to beat Iowa. But Michigan can score on top of what they could do defensively. So I think this is a tough matchup to get things started. Going back to last year, though, it was the same. It wasn't the same situation. It was like a Thursday, Friday night, and Maryland. I can't remember if they were 3-0 or what they were, but hosting Iowa, and Iowa absolutely rolls 45-10 or something. I don't even know what the final score was, but it was embarrassing, and it was a 3-point spread. So, yeah, I think they're pretty spot on. So I won't make a play, but my heart is telling me Michigan rolls here. So let's move on. Next one up. Let's see, Minnesota, Michigan State. I've been telling you, I really like this Minnesota team. We're seeing -3 in most spots. Some spots I see, looks like DraftKings has Minnesota -2.5 at -120, the +2.5 for Michigan at +100, but -3 most spots here. Have not seen too many, or the public, I should say, has not had too many eyes on Minnesota yet. They've obviously played not a very tough schedule at all. New Mexico State, 38-zip. Western Illinois, 62-10. Colorado last week, 49-7. But I really like this Minnesota team. They did lose Chris Ottman-Bell out for the season, their leading receiver, but they do have some decent depth here. I honestly don't. It obviously hurts, but I really don't think it affects them too much. They've got a lot of depth. They've had a lot of wide receiver talent come out of Minnesota the last under PJ Fleck, I should say. So I think they'll be fine in that respect there. If you look back to last year with Minnesota, if it wasn't for a 2-week schedule, I can't remember if it was late October, early November, they lose shockingly to Illinois and then have a hangover and lose to Iowa. If they don't have those two stumbles, they're a one-loss Big Ten team in the opening night to Ohio State, and they're playing in the Big Ten, or they win the Big Ten West, and they're playing against Michigan in the title game. So I think this is a bad matchup for Michigan State. On top of that, I think Minnesota's offense can exploit their defense. So I've got Minnesota -3 in this one. Team totals 26.5 for Minnesota, 23.5 for Michigan State. But I'm kind of going with I'll say 31-20. I like Minnesota in this one, Jeff. Any opinions from you out of these two games, or out of these two teams?
There was actually the opener was Michigan State -2 and then 50.5. The sharps just absolutely ate it up. Minnesota flat threes across the board. DraftKings does have a 2.5 -20, like you said, spot on. 50.5, the under over. We were on, the the sharp people was on Washington last week.
Yeah.
Here you had a number 11 team of Michigan State coming in
Right.
as dogs, and it opened at 1.5 and went as high as 3.5. I did see 4 in some spots.
Mm-hmm.
We had the over in that game. I talked to you last week. I said like that total was screaming over. I think Minnesota definitely is the right side. Again, Michigan State starts the season okay. They get smacked in the mouth. I think it was a great story last year. They were very good. I'm not saying they're a bad team. I definitely like where your eyes are, though. I think Minnesota is the side to be on.
Yeah, I'm elevating Minnesota up into that top 5, bona fide top 5 in the Big Ten, and I think Michigan State's kind of firmly on the outside. Like you said, I don't think they're a bad team. I think they could have some success against some of these teams in the Big Ten. I just think Minnesota is really, really well rounded here. So this one is honestly my favorite play or most confident play out of the entire Big Ten slate here. So really like Minnesota. Like I said, the Chris Autman-Bell injury sucks, but I think they'll be just fine without him. So. Going on to the next game, Indiana and Cincinnati. Indiana should be 1-2, if not 2-1. They should be 1-2. They get the win over Illinois earlier in the season. Win in overtime last week against Western Kentucky. I had Western Kentucky plus the points. Fortunately, that one still got to the window. But this Indiana defense is not very good at all. Their offense, the more there's more tape on it, and you give them a stiffer competition, I really think the Cincinnati defense is going to have a ton of success tomorrow. Team total for Cincinnati, 36.5, over -130. Indiana over 20.5, -105. Last year, these two teams played. I think the spread was a lot closer because it was still early in the season. Indiana was still riding off of the season prior. It was a 4-point spread. Cincinnati -4. They win 38-24 there, and that was really everyone kind of realized Indiana's not the same team that we thought they were going to be. And I think this one might be a little similar, except I think Cincinnati's defense has even more success this year against Indiana than they did last year. So I'm not in love with anything here, but I'm almost leaning towards Indiana team total under 20.5. Some of the I don't know any money splits from any of your sites over there. I saw on DraftKings their tracker actually had money. About 60% of bets and money on Indiana plus the 17. Were you seeing something similar on any of your sites? Indiana getting a lean here. So I honestly lean towards Cincinnati. I think it could be close to that spread, though. But I'm leaning a little closer to the Indiana under 20.5 on the team total there. Any thoughts from you on this one?
My eyes flock immediately to the Cincy team total. That was the first thing that my eyes flocked to. Now, listen, I was born at night, but not last night. And they're baiting you to that. I tell you what, I would feel more comfortable taking over 37.5 on plus money than them saying coming to the window at 36.5 because the first thing you think of is 37. And so they're juicing that one up. I wouldn't be surprised if you woke up in the morning and it was 37. I think Cincy puts up a 40 burger plus.
Okay.
I think this is. What do you have for a first half number there?
First half, 8.5. 8.5 is the spread in the first half there.
Right on the numbers. They're playing games. They're playing. Let me look at one thing for you. Hold on.
Okay. I think I'm with you though. I'm lower on in this Indiana offense, and I think the Cincinnati defense has success. But I'm with you. Indiana's defense is bad.
On Wager Talk, 55% of the bets, 55% of the money coming in on Indiana. It's down to 16.5. Anyone watching and listening here live, circle this game, and when you wake up in the morning, whatever site you guys go to, take a look and see, because the bags come rolling in overnight tonight. So it'll be interesting to see if this goes to like a 15.5, and if it does, that's some sharp heavy money coming in there. So it's actually leaking on the Indiana side.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's a tough one for me. I don't believe in this Indiana team, but it's definitely one to monitor for sure there. So, this one, what's this one? 2:30 my time, 3:30 your time. So afternoon, little time for it to marinate in the morning as well there. Next one up, Iowa and the Rutgers Scarlet Knights over in Piscataway, New Jersey. 35.5 over under earlier in the week, Jeff, down to 33.5 on the full game total. Is this a service academy game that we are about to witness tomorrow between these two teams, or what the hell else is about to happen here? Team total, Iowa 20.5, Rutgers 13.5, minus 105. No bad weather. This is going to be, this was a later game, 6 o'clock my time, 7 o'clock local time over there. It's going to be a nice day, though, tomorrow. This is not a nasty weather total game, so not a lot of respect for these offenses here. Any thoughts from you? I mean, Iowa's defense has been fantastic. I think it's 0-7 and or 3-7-0 or something along those lines. 3-10-0, something like that. Anyways, defense hasn't allowed more than 10 points. So, any thoughts from you? Are you trusting Iowa's defense, or is there any other way that you would be interested in getting this game?
Is this the first league game that they're on the road?
This is the first conference game for both of these teams. So for Iowa, yeah. And they had the Iowa State game, which obviously isn't conference, but that was in Iowa.
You know, my all week, especially when I saw the opening numbers, I thought this was a Rutgers game. I really did. Now, as the week has progressed, I'm starting to maybe scare myself off of this 13.5. I mean, I think most people's first thought would be Rutgers team total under 13.5, obviously. But, you know, Rutgers isn't known for its defense. You know, I had that opening day getting 8 at BC and then come and storm it back to win. Well, BC sucks. So I can't put a lot of stock into that one. The whole world will be on the under. Vegas is telling us initially here 20-10 is 30. 20-13. Yeah, they're telling you 20-13, 21, you know, so that would be unders across the board. I'm going to wake up in the morning and see which way this number goes. The more I think about it and talk out loud, it's an Iowa number.
I'm with you. I could see the total. I mean, I could see this game finishing at 35 and whatever your or 34, 35 and whatever your closing number is going to determine if you hit the under or not. I could see that happening. I mean, look at obviously apples and oranges, but look at last night's NFL game. Everybody, the one primetime game where everyone thinks the number is going way under and the number drops a little bit, and then the game ends even without the disaster at the end. It was a 40-point finisher, ended up 46. So. I don't know. I trust, like you said, I'm not going all the way in on Rutgers under 13.5, but I trust Iowa's defense, if anything, here. And maybe their defense leads to some really nice field position, and they're able to punch it in. Their offense is, I guess, improving on what they were the first 2 weeks. They had, put some points on the board against Nevada last week. But Rutgers 16-14 win against Temple as 18.5-point favorites. They didn't score 18 points, let alone come close to covering. So. You're right. Rutgers isn't good. Iowa's offense isn't good, but their defense should be good enough to take care of this one. It wouldn't shock me if they held Rutgers to 3-year zip in this one, in my opinion, over here.
I agree.
All righty. So next one up, you were mentioning it, Wisconsin, Ohio State for in a number of seasons. This one is one of the bigger games on the Big Ten slate. Not a terrible game by any stretch. Wisconsin's defense is still pretty good, but Ohio State minus 19 at home. I believe it was 18.5 this time last week when we were talking. I know it's jumped around the last few days anyways. 18.5, 19.5 now in some spots. Total 56.5, I think has been right around the number. I could be wrong about that.
Up to 57 flats.
Okay, 57 flats. 37.5 team total for Ohio State, 19.5 for Wisconsin here. I think this one's fairly spot on. I think Wisconsin's defense could have some better success than a lot of Big Ten teams will have, but you know, the last two seasons, I'll just 34-21 win for Ohio State. The year before that, 38-7. Neither one of those scores would really shock me here. I don't have any trust in Wisconsin's offense, so I kind of lean towards Wisconsin's team total under 19.5, but I don't love it by any means. Wouldn't surprise me if their run game is working and they're able to rattle off some nice runs and move the ball a little bit. But I don't have any too strong of thoughts on this one. What about you for me, this one?
You know, I talked preseason, anytime you could get an Ohio State team total at 36.5 and over, that's an auto play. Now they keep getting you at 37.5, and you're sitting at halftime and they got 40. I don't know what to expect from Wisconsin here. We know offensively challenged. They're not Iowa, but they're also not Ohio State here.
Right.
The number is really, really inflated. This should be in the 14, 15, maybe 16. The public is just, I got opening numbers here looking at this game here. Let me go to this. Where are we here? Come on, eyes. Don't do this to me here. There we are. 18 with a 55. How's that grab you? Now 19, 57 and a half, 57 straight across, 19 and a half straight across. They're telling you Ohio State wins by 20 or more, obviously. I don't like the computer model or the actual real opening number at 55. So I think if you want to get cute and coy, you take the Wisconsin team total under 19 and a half and pray.
I think we're on the same page there. I mean, the problem, I believed in Wisconsin in so many spots last year because of their defense, and there were so many times where through three quarters they'd prove me right, and then the offense would, for lack of a better term, shit down their leg. And you can think of the Notre Dame game. It was a one-score game the entire game. Final score was a 3-4 touchdown game because their offense fell apart. So I could see that happening here, but I'm with you. I think if I'm doing anything, I'm betting on Wisconsin's offense to have a rough day here. So two more left. Next one up, I wish they were playing a Big Ten team because I've really enjoyed watching them. FAU at Purdue. Purdue 1-2. You could make the case they should be 2-1 or 3-0 here. This number down to 16.5. I think I saw even this morning it was at 17.5. I could be wrong about that, but this one has been dropping towards FAU, now 16.5, as I mentioned. Total down to 57.5 in some spots. This one is up at 61.5. Team total for Purdue, last I checked, let me double check that we're still sitting at this these spots. It is coming down 37.5 for Purdue, 20.5 for FAU. I think Purdue wins this one. I think their offense bounces back, but 37-38, that's right around where I could see this one falling. I could see FAU's offense putting up some points here. I could see a 37-24 type game here, and maybe FAU covers if their offense is able to score. I don't have strong thoughts on this one. Like I said, I think Purdue rolls offensively here, but that 37.5, 38 might be tricky. And I mean, I think they're looking ahead to obviously want to get the bounce back, but they're looking ahead to a game against Minnesota next week, a big one obviously there. So I'm going to stay away from this one. Any thoughts that FAU can keep this one close?
61 with a 20 and a hook, minus 11 cents on the juice. Now down to, and at Chris, now down to 58 under minus 14. So it's going to 57 and a hook there and a 17. Can you check and see A, if someone's out, or B, if there's weather?
I'm checking on the weather right now. Looks like, what is this, a late game, right? Let's see. So it'll probably be 7:30. Probably be a little chilly, but I mean, it says 65 during the day. It'll probably the temperature will go down. It might be 50s during the game time and maybe a little chilly. Maybe that's keeping people tight. I don't know. I haven't experienced that chilly football weather, but that favors Purdue up against a Florida team as far as that is concerned. But I'm drawing a blank. I don't think anyone.
Okay, here we go. I hit the info button.
Okay.
Adrian O'Connell, quarterback, questionable, undisclosed. O'Connell is a game time decision against FAU on Saturday, unspecified injury. So the Sharps are coming in and betting on the no there. How's that?
Yeah. Yep, it seems so. I mean, I was double checking some weather. Obviously, if it was nasty weather, then it's a different story. But I don't have too strong thoughts here. Obviously, watching the Aiden O'Connell news, I assume he'll be fine. But I guess you never know there. So one more left. Let's save the best for last. Northwestern, Miami, Ohio is the final game on the slate here. Northwest. This one actually was 6.5 earlier in the week. Now up to 7.5. Northwestern. This one is at home. Northwestern's 1-2. Obviously, a tough loss to FCS Southern Illinois there. So 50 is the game total, down from 51 earlier in the week. Team total 29.5 for Northwestern, 20.5 for Miami, Ohio. First of all, that's another one where the team totals don't exactly line up to the spread there. Any thoughts on why that might be and what that indicates? 29.5 and 20.5 despite a 7.5 game spread.
It tells you this, that they're basically telling you two things here. Now, whether if it comes and happens, it's a whole different thing. Northwestern wins by double digits. They get to probably 30, 31 rather easily. And Miami of Ohio is probably into that 13, 14, 17 range.
Yeah, I think so, and I think a lot of people are probably concerned about the Northwestern's defense. Obviously, a couple bad teams have come in and scored on them, but you would expect some serious bounce back from that defense at least, and their offense has been good. So I think I'm with you on it. I haven't seen too many of those in my short time as far. So I'm always interested in why you think the discrepancy is there as far as the difference in team total to the spread. So I imagine a lot of people are interested in this Northwestern offense here. So that I believe is the last one on the slate. Illinois last night. Next week we'll have some solid matchups. Michigan, Iowa, Purdue, Minnesota, Michigan State, Maryland. So Indiana, Nebraska. No Nebraska this week. So you get a week off from the Nebraska show there. So probably for good measure there. So anything else to add as far as Big Ten football, or I guess college football in general?
It was funny. Nebraska goes out 7-0, and the whole world rejoiced. There's like new coach. I knew it was Scott Frost. 41 points later, those same guys are just like, it wasn't Scott Frost. It wasn't Scott.
No, at least not defensively. No.
Oh man, not a lot of headliners this week overall. But the funny thing about college football is we'll be talking on Monday, you and I, about this upset. What a great game this was. Did you see this? Speaking of that, did you see the damn catch by George Pickens?
Oh my gosh. I almost, that was disgusting. That was one of the nastiest catches that I've seen in quite a long time. So
he had to do that to make that catch, where I think Odell Beckham, being Odell, I mean, that catch Odell made in that, I think it was a Monday night game to be exact.
Sunday or Monday night, yeah.
Put him on the map, and then of course he practiced that, and the rest was history there.
Right.
But George just kind of did it effortlessly, and was amazing. That was definitely an amazing catch.
How not to turn into an NFL conversation, but how long until we see Mr. Kenny Pickett?
Talks with the colleagues all summer leading up to August was right here, meaning basically with that Thursday night game, it gives you enough time and a couple extra days to get him ready.
Yeah.
I think the problem is, Tomlin, they're 1-2. So that one win was bleeping huge. The Patriots kind of, they held their own. I think they were dictating this game here. Decent start by Mitch. He's just trying not to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Here's the one problem, and I'm going to flip the switch to you. Once you go to Kenny Pickett, there's no turning back.
Oh, no. And I mean, yeah, go ahead.
So do you wait the extra 10 days, say, hey, Mitch, we still believe we're going to give you an extra couple of days. We're going to go. Can you pull up the next 3 games for the Steelers?
Well, the next one is against the Jets. That would be a decent one to get him started. But then right after that is the Bills and Bucks, which I don't know that I'm trying to throw Kenny Pickett to those Wolves right away. You might want to wait. And then it goes Dolphins, Eagles, Saints after that. I'm trying to look and see when their bye week is. I'm drawing a blank on it here. It might be later in the season, but either way, I don't know that I want to throw them to those Bills and Bucks Wolves.
See, and that's the funny thing. Mitch. Tomlin could say, you know what, we're going to give you a great over here. Is it at home or is it at New York?
Next week against the Jets is at home, Pittsburgh. Yeah.
And this would be the perfect setup, but there is no bleeping way you want him facing the Bills or the Bucks. I think we just answered the question. It's Trubisky the next 3 weeks. And then after that, if they're 1-5, right? Is that right? My math correct?
If they lose the next 3, 1-5.
Actually, they beat the Jets. They go to 2-3. So now you'll have the decision. They're 1-2. So no, what are they right now? 1-2.
They're 1-2. I mean, they do have. So they got the Jets, Bills, Bucks, at the Dolphins, at the Eagles, and then they have their bye week before the Saints, Bengals, and Colts.
All right, so they're going to beat the Jets. They're 2-2. They'll lose to the Bills and the Bucks, so they go to 2-4. And then you go. Who you said?
And then at Miami, probably 2-5.
2-5.
And then at Philly, 2-6.
2-6.
And then a bye week, and then they get the Saints.
So there it is, right there. Kenny Pickett after the bye and 2-6. Now I'm going to say this. I think there'll be a live dog at Miami. I'll go that far.
Sure.
Their defense, Tua could have one of those days that we know.
Yeah.
The Watt injury is a huge one as well. Maybe he comes back at the bye or something like that. It doesn't look good for Mitch, but I think they got to wait till after the bye with the Bills and Bucks. You have to.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. Yeah, you can't, like you said. I mean, Trubisky has been on the opposite side of that. Once the Bears went to Trubisky, they stuck with Trubisky for 2-3 years or however long it was. So, yeah, you can't go back to and especially when it's a guy like Trubisky. Yeah, it's never it's never a pretty sight to go back to the quarterback that you once went away from. So, anyways, I think there's a couple college games tonight. I didn't have any strong thoughts on them. I think the one was Virginia-Syracuse. Everybody, everybody's in a love fest with Syracuse. Virginia hasn't looked great. Any chance Virginia hangs with them in that one, or you think Syracuse puts on another show, or maybe Virginia is just a flat-out bad team?
I've had success with Virginia in the past on Friday nights. I just don't. I can't believe how bad they are. Syracuse, kind of the flavor of the month this year. They've shown some flashes there. You know what I think is, and I don't want to say sneaky. Let me get some info here to see if they're still sick. It was funny because, so Air Force wide receiver questionable, Air Force wide receiver questionable, Air Force quarterback questionable, undefined ailment has yet to be established if you will lace it up. All right, so it was funny. Me and Scotty did a show last Friday on the closing bell, and he was all in on Air Force at Wyoming. Well, half their team had some kind of stomach bug or whatever it was. They got lambasted, and right now there's still 3 question marks. If you can get some inside information and know these guys are going to suit up, I think it's a great bounce back spot for Air Force here. A Nevada team that is not that good, defensively bad. So keep an eye on Air Force. Boise State on Friday nights always used to be an auto bet. At UTEP, another team that's not that good.
An increase.
I have a hard time betting minus 16 or 16 and a half with an over of 44. So I would guess if you have it right there, what is the UTEP team total? 7.5?
I see 13.5, 13.5, 14.
All right, so a UTEP team total under would be a play there. What do you have for Air Force first half? Did they get cute and give you 14 and a hook?
I see 13, 14 different spots here, mostly 14.
Yeah, that's what they usually do there. Do you have a team total on Air Force? Let me see. 46 and a half, 24. Quick math here. Let's say, did they give you 31 and a half?
35 and a half.
Bastards.
I mean, Iowa's offense scored 27, or maybe it wasn't 100% on their offense, but Iowa scored 27 points on that Nevada team. So I'm not saying, I'm just saying I think Air Force can put up some damn points if they're healthy, like you're kind of saying here.
I'm going to be doing some good research here. So I'll close with this, peeps. Keep an eye on Air Force team total there. UTEP team total under. The Virginia-Syracuse, I'm going to just say it's an inflated number, meaning Virginia is bad this year. Syracuse, the flavor. I can't believe they're 9.5, 10-point favorites. Very surprised there.
I don't know. I'm with you. I can't believe it either. I mean, team total for Virginia, 21.5, 22. I don't know. I was expecting their offense to be a lot better against Illinois. Illinois' defense has obviously been maybe Illinois' defense is just a lot better than we expected. I don't know, but yeah, you're right. I don't like touching these inflated lines, and then I really don't like taking the other side when I have no faith in a team like Virginia. So I'll probably keep myself out of it. We'll see if Syracuse stays as the flavor of the month, though.
Are you available Sunday morning?
Absolutely. Sunday morning it is.
So myself and Riley will be back Sunday morning for an NFL pregame. Get yourself ready for Sunday Fun Day. The ECSI VIPs for the Action Parlay. Later today, myself and Scott will be doing the closing bell, and it will be week number 3 with Mr. Lucky, Mr. F, follow paid, talking week in advance, last week, and of course the Circuit contest. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed morning. The weekend is here. Have some fun. Cash a few tickets, and we will see you soon.